Some major updates from the Baltimore's camp coming out of spring training. How some injuries are starting to turn the light, and Mike Elias spoke a lot on the potential of the Baltimore Orioles in 2025. Welcome to Orioles Digest. I'm your host, Kam Brice. And before you do anything, hit that subscribe button. If you are a part of this percentage, let's change that today. Come join Orioles Digest. We're giving you daily updates about the Baltimores that you don't want to miss. Spring training is finally here for the Baltimore Orioles, and today was their first official workout of spring training. Now I have some good and bad news, but we're going to get into the big injury update we have today. Raj Kubatako, Orioles insider, said Jorge Mateo and Trevor Rogers won't be ready for opening day. Rogers injured right kneecap in January. So in today's episode, we're going to get to everything that happened in spring training. We're going to talk about Jorge Mateo, Trevor Rogers, Jackson Holliday, the pitching staff, the outfield, everything that you need to know. But further, before we get into that, let's start with the first topic of today. Massive injury news from the Baltimores have reported today with Félix Bautista, Jorge Mateo, and Trevor Rogers. Now, Trevor Rogers injuring his right kneecap was not the news that Orioles fans wanted to hear, especially when you traded some of your best prospects last trade deadline for Trevor Rogers to help your team for a playoff push, and he just completely ran out of gas. Now, going into this offseason, his main concern was getting that control, the miles per hour, getting his stuff back to how it looked like in 2021. And he was progressing so good, but news has just broke today from the Orioles camp that Trevor Rogers is recovering from a right kneecap injury and he won't be ready for opening day. Jorge Mateo won't be ready for opening day also. He's only swinging with one hand right now, has yet to swing with two hands, so it's looking like Jorge Mateo on the Baltimore's timeline will probably be later than expected. I expect him to be back next season. He's going to be back way before the All-Star break, but we should not see Jorge Mateo in the Orioles uniform on opening day at all. Now, talking about Félix Bautista, the Baltimore's mentioned that they're going to ramp Félix Bautista up. They're going to slowly progress him. They're not going to rush through. He's not going to play Grapefruit League games, but in some spring training games, he will contribute, he will pitch. And Mike Elias expects Félix Bautista to be ready for opening day. Me personally, I don't think Felix will be ready for opening day. I think you sit him out a couple while, give him some more bullpen sessions, allow that arm to get more healthy, allow him to get more control and his stuff back, allow him to be more confident. And then you bring Félix Bautista back at the end of April or the middle of April. That's all the injury updates we have. So we're going to get into our next topic of the day. 2025 is going to be a big year for Jackson Holliday. Now, last season wasn't the best rookie season for Jackson Holliday. He went through many struggles. He went down to AAA, came back up, and he started to look like a completely different ball player. But this offseason was very crucial for Jackson Holliday, and he made major changes. Orioles insider Jacob Calvin Meyer talked to Brendan Hyde today, and in these interesting quotes, he said, Brendan Hyde was very impressed with Jackson Holliday's offseason work. He's happy with Holliday's swing change and his physical strength. And if you've seen the pictures over Twitter, Jackson Holliday got massive. He bulked up a lot. He doesn't look like that 18, 19-year-old kid we all used to see. He looks like a grown man now, and that power is going to translate to his game. So if you thought Jackson Holliday was just a contact hitter, wait till he unleashes that power this season. I expect a big year for Jackson Holliday. I think he could potentially be an all-star this season. You know me, I'm very high on Jackson Holliday. He's one of the best prospects I've ever watched. I went to Bowie, I went to Aberdeen. I've seen Jackson Holliday play in person, and his skill set is going to translate to the MLB for a very long time. Now, for Holliday, it's all about being confident. When his confidence kicks in, he looks like one of the best baseball players on the field. He can cut down the errors, be great at second base. That will translate over to his offensive production. And then he also mentioned that Jackson Holliday is looking more fast. He's looking more mobile. The swing's looking great. He's hitting for power. So we should expect Jackson Holliday to be aggressive on the base paths this season. My prediction, Jackson Holliday is going to hit over 20 bombs this season, well over 80 RBIs, bat over 275, OPS well over 800. He's going to have a great second season, and he's going to bounce back and have a breakout year. Now, for our last topic, we're going to talk about the pitching staff and the outfield situation. So Brandon Hyde also talked about the Orioles' depth and their roster and their pitching staff. He said this is probably the deepest Orioles team he's ever had. And he thinks there are plenty of outfielders that will platoon around, and 8 or 9 pitchers will have starting innings this spring. So the 8 or 9 pitchers could be Kay Povich, Dean Kramer, Grayson Rodriguez, Sagano, Zach Eflin, Chase McDermott, possibly too. That's another guy that we can't forget. Charlie Morton. And we also can't forget about Brandon Young, who was in AAA last season that a lot of people don't know about. But he's a very good pitcher, and he has the chance of making the Orioles team out of camp. He probably won't be in the starting rotation, but he could also be depth in the bullpen. And that's another interesting thing Hyde said earlier. He said about the Orioles' depth in the bullpen. This is probably the best bullpen he's ever had in his career. I think the Orioles bullpen is going to be the key part of this team. Keegan Aiken, Gregory Soto, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Félix Bautista, Yunier Cano, Cionel Perez. They have so many guys that you can go to. It's just like this Orioles team has the chance to be very good. If everyone can stay healthy, they'll have a good starting rotation and a very good bullpen. Now, when we're talking about the outfield situation, we know it's Tyler O'Neill, Cedric Mullins, Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad, and then possibly you could also throw in guys like Jorge Mateo when he comes back from the IL. Now, Mike Elias had some high praise for Heston Kjerstad earlier. He said, Kjerstad has earned the right to get a lot of bats in the corner outfield and DH position. He doesn't need to tear the cover of the ball right now. Heston Kjerstad doesn't need to prove himself anymore. He has earned the spot on this team. And I know not everyone has earned their role in this team, but Heston Kjerstad will be on the MLB roster this season. I believe he only has one more option. So if the Baltimore send him down and pick him back up, they can't send him back down anymore. I believe this is the year that Heston Kjerstad finally breaks out. I don't think the Baltimore's are going to trade him. If they would have traded Heston Kjerstad, they would have traded him 2 years ago, last year, and this offseason. They believe he could be a key contribution to this team in the long term situation. So why not give this kid opportunities? He just turned 26, older than me, and you still haven't given him opportunities. So it's time for Heston Kjerstad to get valuable opportunities in the outfield. Cedric Mullins will be an everyday outfielder. Colton Cowser, Tyler O'Neill. There will be a lot of platoon situations, including Ramon Laureano, who the Baltimore's just signed a couple of weeks ago. So we should see a lot of different outfield situations this year, but I'm very confident in the Baltimore's roster right now. Now, spring training is finally here, and day 2 is tomorrow. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, because we're giving you spring training updates daily. You don't want to miss. Subscribe to Orioles Digest. We're giving you daily updates about the Baltimore's that you don't want to miss. From Orioles Digest, I'm Kam Brice.